Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and on today's episode, as we gear up towards the end of 2021, I want to talk about your business relationships, whether it's as a business owner or a coffee professional. I want to talk about those relationships as you move into 2022 and invite you to start considering the importance of reassessing them as we head into the holiday season and as we take stock of how those relationships have served us in 2021, how we have served to those relationships in 2021, and perhaps how we can either nurture those relationships or manage them out of our lives. Before we get started, if you are looking for consulting assistance next year in your coffee-focused business, whether it's a roastery or a cafe, a podcast, a whatever, we have a consultant that will be able to help you. Head to the show notes, click on the links, and do the magic that's required to find out all of the information that you need. So, the relationships in your professional life have a huge determination of the way that you experience your career, whether your career is as a coffee professional or your career is as a business owner. Now, what we have noticed in a lot of the consulting work that we've done is that we have had to help shift relationships and coach people out of relationships that have been incredibly toxic. So that could have been with a business partner, it could have been with employees, it could have been with suppliers. And there are times when it is with kind of affiliate businesses, with a couple of clients that we have that have podcasts, one of them outside of the coffee industry. But one of the relationships that we had to help manage was, how do we help disentangle a sponsorship relationship that was actually going quite financially successful, but it was bleeding the soul dry of the person who was our client. The relationships that you have in your professional life determines the quality of the business that you're capable of doing. So it determines the thresholds of the limits that you can reach. Let me give you an obvious example of that. If you are somebody who relies on the relationship that you have with an importer of green coffee, the quality of the access that you have to green coffee right now is determinant on the quality of relationships that that importer has with producers in a variety of different countries. On the other side of that, if the quality of your relationships is based on a variety of different sourcing methods. So you have relationships with importers as well as producers, or you have relationships with consultants who can give you access to producers. That changes the game. It changes the game of how you're able to participate in continuing to drive your business forward. Now, that is true now more than ever. The reason it's more true now than it ever has been is because of the shortage of coffee and the pricing of coffee. Producers hold the majority of the power in the supply chain right now. And it's been a very long time since that happened. So they can choose to sell to the people and the companies who have been loyal to them and who helped them build their businesses. So if the quality of the relationship that you have with a producer is second, third, or fourth hand, to the point where they barely know who you are, that's a really weak, it's a weak supply chain that you're a part of. If you are doing what's necessary to tighten the supply chain that you have, or to strengthen is a better word, the supply chain that you have, so that you know that the buying practices that you're participating in are in alignment with the customers that come into your venue, as well as the employees that work for you, then that's a really strong buying philosophy, and the relationships that feed into that buying philosophy are elevated. Let's take another example: business partners. Over the last couple of years, we've dealt with a number of clients who had either decided to start businesses or who had already found themselves in business with a business partner that they hadn't done their due diligence with. And I say this again and again and again. Please, if you are getting into business with someone, your due diligence is not just about how much they know about coffee. It's about how much experience they have running a business, how much experience they have problem solving and conflict resolution. How do they act when money is tight? How are they with you when there's a legal challenge that you're involved in? What are they like in communicating? How do they work with you when they don't agree with you? Or if you don't agree with them? This is all the really important stuff that you need to know about someone when you're getting into business with them. This is the important due diligence. Now, when you're having those initial conversations, everyone's really excited. It's the honeymoon period. Yeah, don't worry. We'll never get into arguments, but you will get into arguments. And what we're seeing a lot of is the people after the last couple of years are finding themselves in relationships with business partners that will not survive. And they're looking for a way out in such a way that they can either salvage the relationship or salvage their share of the business and perhaps not have anything to do with the business partner. So they're going to buy the business partner out and keep the business, or they're going to get out of that relationship altogether and go and start something for themselves. Now, these are the kinds of relationships that really need assessing. Even if your relationship with your business partner is great, this is a perfect time to sit down, do an audit of your relationship, look at the past 12 months, and have an open discussion about how you guys could even strengthen it further. But if it hasn't gone well, this is a time to sit down and have an open discussion about how it needs to change and what that looks like in 2022. Now, one thing that's going to be to your advantage in 2022 is if you can audit your relationships right now, whether it be with suppliers or your employer or your employee or whatever. Audit those relationships, figure out what's working for you, figure out what's not working for you, and have an open discussion with yourself and a really honest discussion with yourself about what would my life look like without those relationships, and what does my life look like if I keep those relationships in my life. Now, I came into 2021, knowing that a lot was going to change in my life. I was putting pause on one business. I was moving country. I was growing another business. I was starting another podcast. I was going to be reestablishing my life in Sydney, all of these kinds of things. And with that came new relationships. And I set the intention of those relationships that I would actively go into them being open about the fact that this relationship was going to be built on supporting each other and rising together. I have a deep value that rising tides lift all ships, but I wanted to be careful that the ships that I was going to be involved in rising with had aligned in their value structure as I had with mine. And so I went to those people and I said, hey, I'm new back in the coffee industry here in Sydney. And, my intention is that we work together to create something that we're really proud of. And I got to tell you, It's worked really well. It's worked really well to help me kind of enter the coffee industry here in Australia. And it's worked really well in helping me decide what are the relationships that I will move forward with in 2022 and what are the relationships I will not move forward with professionally in 2022. And that has happened personally as well. Now, being this intentional about the way that I approach this, some people have found it kind of ruthless that I am being deliberate in perhaps moving away from those relationships. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because, I enter a relationship being very clear about what they can expect from me and what I expect from them. And if I don't live up to my expectations or to the expectations that they have of me, I would expect them to say, you know what, Lee, this isn't working out. And vice versa. So just a few thoughts that I wanted to share with you as we move into another challenging year of this decade. The relationships that you have professionally and personally will determine how you experience 2022. So take the time to audit those relationships and consider whether they'll serve you or whether they will hinder you. And can you serve them or will you be a hindrance to those relationships? Peace on peanut butter, friends. I hope you found this helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe and have an amazing rest of your day.